defending all the pain. Have you heard of the hero's end? If we go further, then we'll never be the same.
The career advice I ignored at 25 and regret at 35. Let me tell you something that stings a little. At 25, I thought I knew everything. I had opinions, I had confidence, I had time. And every time an older mentor tried to give me career advice, I'd nod politely, then go right back to doing what felt comfortable. Now I'm 35, and I finally understand what they were trying to tell me. This video isn't about doom and gloom. It's not about regret for the sake of drama. It's about clarity. Because the advice I ignored at 25 didn't sound urgent. It didn't sound sexy. It didn't sound life-changing, but it was. And if you're in your 20s right now, or even early 30s, this might save you 10 years. Let's start with the first piece of advice I brushed off. 1. Don't just chase money, build skills. At 25, I was obsessed with income. If a job paid more, I wanted it. If an opportunity looked lucrative, I jumped. Did I ask what skills I was building? Not really. I thought money was the scoreboard. But here's what nobody tells you. Money without skills is temporary. Skills without money are temporary. But skills that create money, that's leverage. At 25, I took roles that paid well but didn't stretch me. I optimized for comfort. I optimized for good enough. At 35, I see the people who optimize for growth instead. They took harder roles. They learned sales, they learned marketing, they learned communication, they learned how businesses actually work. And now they're not chasing money. Money chases them because skills compound. If you learn how to communicate persuasively at 25, by 35 you're dangerous. If you learn how to manage people at 25, by 35, you're irreplaceable. If you learn how to sell at 25, by 35, you can survive anywhere. I chase paychecks, they chase capability. Guess who won too? Your network is more important than your resume. I hated this advice. It sounded fake, political, manipulative network. I just want to do good work. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Careers are built on relationships. Opportunities rarely come from submitting resumes. They come from someone saying, hey, I know someone at 25. I kept my head down. I didn't go to events. I didn't follow up. I didn't stay in touch. I thought good work would speak for itself. It doesn't not in the real world. At 35, I've seen average talent with incredible networks win big, and incredibly talented people with zero relationships struggle silently. Networking isn't about using people, it's about staying visible, it's about helping others, it's about being remembered. You don't need 1,000 connections, you need 20 real ones. At 25, I thought I had time to build relationships later. But here's the thing about relationships. They grow slowly. You can't plant a tree at 35 and expect shade at 36. 3. Invest early, even if it's more. At 25, investing for a boring retirement. That's for 50-year-old. But here's math that hurts. Compound interest is brutally unfair in your favor if you start early, against you if you don't. Someone who invests modestly in their 20s often ends up ahead of someone who invests aggressively starting in their 30s. Because time is the multiplier at 25, I upgraded lifestyle instead. Better apartment, better car, better vacations. Nothing wrong with enjoying life, but I confused consumption with progress. At 35, I realized the biggest flex isn't what you drive, it's freedom. Freedom to say no. Freedom to pivot. Freedom to leave toxic environments. And freedom is purchased early, not later for. Don't stay somewhere just because it's comfortable. Comfort is addictive. At 25, I stayed in environments that didn't challenge me because they were predictable, the pay was steady, the expectations were clear, the stress was manageable, but growth rarely happens in comfort. At 35, I see that every major leap in my life came from discomfort. The scary application, the hard conversation, the risky pivot. The cost of staying comfortable, you don't notice it immediately. But one day you wake up and realize you've been coasting for years. And coasting downhill feels a lot like progress until you look up 5, build something that's yours. This one hits hardest. At 25, I thought working hard for someone else was enough. And there's nothing wrong with employment, but no one told me how important it is to build an asset, a skill-based side business, a personal brand, an audience and investment portfolio, intellectual property, something that grows even when you're not clocked in, because jobs pay you when you work. Assets pay you when you're sleeping. At 35, I see people who started small side projects. At 25, a YouTube channel with 200 subscribers, a newsletter with 50 readers, a small consulting gig 10 years later. Those little projects are companies. I told myself I'd stop when I had more time. You never have more time, you make it. 6. Take care of your reputation. This one is invisible when you're young. At 25, I thought mistakes disappeared. The way you treat people echoes. The bridge you burn today might be the opportunity you need tomorrow. Industries are smaller than you think. At 35, I've seen people lose life-changing opportunities because someone remembered how they behaved years ago. Talent gets you noticed, character keeps you there. 7. Don't confuse motion with progress. At 25, I was busy, always moving, always grinding, always exhausted. But busy doesn't equal strategic. You can work 80 hours a week and still go nowhere. The real question isn't, how hard am I working? Is this moving me toward leverage? Leverage is when effort today multiplies tomorrow. Learning a high income skill, leverage. Building an audience, leverage. Investing consistently, leverage. Strengthening key relationships, leverage. Endless reactive tasks, not leverage. 8. Bet on yourself earlier. At 25, I waited for permission to lead, permission to create, permission to pivot. I underestimated myself. At 35, I see how much time I lost doubting. The irony, you will never feel fully ready. Confidence isn't something you discover, it's something you build through action. The people you admire didn't feel ready either, they just moved anyway. 9. Your 20s are not for showing off, they're for setting up. This is the one that hurts the ego. At 25, I wanted visible success, recognition, validation, status, but your 20s are a setup decade. It's the planting season. Nobody applauds planting, they applaud harvesting. At 35, I see who planted quietly. They lived below their means. They studied when others partied. They built when others scrolled. Now they harvest and it looks effortless. It was delayed gratification. 10. Time is not slow, it's brutal. At 25, 35 felt ancient. Now 35 feels young. And 45 doesn't feel far. The biggest illusion of your 20s is thinking time moves slowly. It doesn't, it compounds. Habits compound, skills compound. Debt compounds, reputation compounds, health compounds. The direction you choose now accelerates, and small daily decisions don't stay small, they stack. So do I regret my 20s? Not entirely. I learned, I grew, I survived. But I do regret ignoring advice that could have multiplied my growth. Here's the truth. You don't need to be perfect at 25. You don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to think long term. Think in decades, not months. Ask yourself, what skills will matter in 10 years? What relationships should I nurture? What assets can I build? What habits am I compounding? What comfort am I hiding inside? If you're 25 watching this, you're not behind. You are early. If you're 30 watching this, you're not late. You are where. If you're 35 watching this, you are not finished. You are seasoned. The point isn't regret. The point is adjustment. Because here's the good news. The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time today, start building skills, start investing, start reaching out, start creating, start betting on yourself. 10 years from now, you either thank yourself or wish you had listened. Choose wisely because future you is watching and they're hoping you don't ignore this advice the way I did. Yeah, so you know, it all boils down to building skills and connections. Build skills and connections. Go to school if you can. You know, social media is also something that is big. If you make it, you know, it's like crazy. You know, so if you're young, you're 25, you know, save your money, learn certain skills, especially right now that we have AI going on. You know, the future is AI, so just learn a lot of AI related topics, you know, because the things are always changing so fast, you know, so things get outdated very fast. Frameworks, libraries, programming languages, they just get duplicated, so you have to just keep advancing. So get with the right crowd, get with the right skills, invest like you heard earlier. You know, for me, when just imagine being 39 and your boss at work is like 25, 26, giving you orders. How would you feel? I remember a long time ago I worked at Walmart and I was, you know, in my 30s, and the director of the program was like 28, 29, you know, kind of messes you up taking orders from someone so young, you know. And so like when I was in my 20s, I was just focusing on getting acquainted because I just came to the United States. If I had guidance when I was 25, I would have been better off where I am right now. I'm doing fine. Okay, I mean, look at my car and other stuff. I can't really fully complain. But if I had someone to direct me when I was younger, I would definitely be richer than I am right now, because by then, you know, there are some things like gig work was just starting to pop off back then. You know, if I had gotten into gig work around that time and saved my money and invested, you know, and didn't do any drugs, you know, I would have been better off, you know. So, you know, I used to smoke, you know, so, and it used to cost me like $20 a day to, you know, deal with my addiction, and, you know, takes a bite in your money. So that kind of affected me too, you know, but I'm glad I quit that long time ago now, you know. I'm on the right path, you know. So if you're young, just stay away from drugs and all that, because it eats up your money. You won't be able to save, you won't be able to think straight, you know. So because when you're smoking, kind of messes up your mental, so you won't be able to think straight. You'll be thinking irrationally, you know. So especially if you don't eat balanced diets, like if you don't add fish or meat or drink enough water, it's going to affect your mental health, you know, because the way you think actually determines your success. Because if you think very well, you're going to make more money and be successful and make better decisions, you know. So back then I didn't have nobody to advise me on whatever to do. I was just going out there looking for jobs instead of being self-employed, you know, in the gig work that was popping off back then, you know. So but back then I was just, you know, in school, and I was married, and I was just, you know, doing things, living life, but I didn't have nobody to really advise me how to get it, you know, save money and stuff like that, or what to do with my money, you know, or what job to do, you know, because I was just like online looking for job. I remember I worked at Home Depot, I worked at Walmarts, and worked at places, went to school for modeling. Come on, man. That's BS. I should have been doing something else, being self-employed like I am right now. Back then, I should have been self-employed, getting my money and putting my money in things. But I don't regret it. I learned. I was with my ex-wife. She was, like I said, my ex-wife really didn't give me any real advice. Any real life advice. She was just like, oh, this is my husband. Oh, I have my husband with me. Let's get it on in the bed, and that's just it. So that's it. But she was older than me too. But so I don't regret it. But everything is like life lessons. But now that I'm older, like the other day I used to work. This guy, he's Indian. He came in, they already advised him what to do. He already got everything planned out. This, even though he came in illegally, but he's on the process of getting his paper. He just got advised, and I'm like, damn, I wish someone really advised me like this when I just came into the country so young. So that dude is like 22 right now. I believe that by the time that he gets to my age, because right now I'm 39. I believe that by the time he gets to my age, he would have saved substantial amount of money and built real wealth, because he was advised early. He knew what to do, what to start doing at the right time. Even though he's also into gig work. But so just, if you're young, just get a mentor. And if you're into programming, investments, social media, AI, anything, just get a mentor and get on it, because we need a mentor, man. If you don't get a mentor, it's gonna shift off a lot of your life, that you're just gonna waste, doing some random thing that is not useful, like using drugs or doing some useless jobs that is not gonna help you, or just and just it's just if you're 25, you have a lot going on with you, so just use it, make it count. For me, I'm 39. My main focus right now is making sure my health is solid, making sure I get to 70, 80, 90 years old, without falling sick and dying younger. So that's just my main goal right now, is to living a long life. It's because I'm too old to be learning a lot of new stuff. I'm learning every day. Now I just got into AI, voice cloning, and TTS. That's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, of course I can learn. But as you get older, it's harder to learn. It's much harder for you to learn anything. So that's why it's good for you to learn everything when you are younger, because it's easy to stick. But so right now, my health is my main priority, because I'm at 39. I'm about to be 40 soon. I'm glad that I'm healthy at this age. No real, problems. So I'm really grateful. So just, guys, I know you can do it. I'll see you in the next video.